Here we go. So this is not the Tao Te Ching. Notice the Tao Te Ching, those poems that you read, those are very, very like calm and very deep and mysterious things. Watch Zhuangzi. Here we go. Master Sacrifice. Oh, so his view on death, sickness, and misfortune. And then, here we go, and now it gets deep. Those of you who are like saying, oh, things return to their roots, and then the Tao, like, you know, keeps going, and so the yang starts rising again, and you like live again. Yeah, really? Here's where we start hitting onto the questions of what the Taoists think about whether we do anything besides die, and it's ambiguous. So here we go. I love Master Chariot and Master Arrive. It's funny and it's deep, and it's incredibly mysterious. So please annotate on this, because there are things to play with. This is just the most playful stuff you'll ever encounter. So here we go. Master Sacrifice, Master Chariot, Master Plow, and Master Arrive, all four spoke together, saying, here's a puzzle for you, and it's a famous one. Who can take nothing as the head, life as the spine, and death as the tail? I repeat, look at that. Look at that image. Who can take nothing as the head, life as the spine, and death as the tail? Who knows death, life, existence, and annihilation all is the same thing? I'll be that person's friend. You got to picture these guys being old. All four looked at each other and smiled. There was no resistance in their hearts. I repeat, there was no resistance in their hearts. And so they became friends. Suddenly Master Chariot got sick. Master Sacrifice went to ask after him. How extraordinary of the maker of things to knot me up like this. My back is hunched out. My organs are all out of order. My chin is hidden in my navel. My shoulders are peaked above my head. My neck bones point to heaven. But though his yin and yang qi were fouled, in his mind there was nothing the matter. He hobbled over to look at his reflection in the well. Sheesh, the maker of things really is knotting me up. Master Sacrifice said, well, do you dislike it? Master Chariot said, not at all. What's there to dislike? If in time he turns my left arm into a rooster, I'll use it to crow the day. If he turns my right arm into a bow, I'll shoot down a dove for roasting. If he turns my ass into wheels and my spirit into a horse, I'll climb aboard. What better carriage? You get something when it's time. You lose it when it's past. If you're content with the time and abide by the passing, there's no room for sorrow or joy. This is what the ancients called loosing the bonds. Bonds are things that tie you down, right? This is what the ancients called loosing the bonds. If you don't loose yourself, things will bind you. Nothing has ever beaten heaven. Tien. What's there to dislike? Suddenly Master Arrive got sick. Different guy. Not Master Chariot. He's all knotted up and deformed now. Master Arrive got sick. Gasping, he was on the point of death. His wife and children circled around him, weeping. Master Plow, his friend, came to ask after him, and he said to them, stop, get back. Don't be afraid of the change. Leaning on the doorframe, he said, how extraordinary the one who makes these changes. What will he do with you next? Where will he send you? Will he make you a rat's liver? Will he make you a bug's arm? Master Arrive, who was dying, said, a child goes wherever its parents say, east, west, north, or south. How much more are yin and yang to a person than parents? If they bring me to the point of death and I refuse to obey, I would only be being stubborn. What fault is it of theirs? The big lump, great word for God, the big lump, the Tao, burdens me with form, labors me with life, eases me with old age, and rests me with death. So if I like my life for the same reason, I must also like my death. Suppose a great blacksmith were casting metal. If the metal was to rear up, stand up, and go, I insist on being a moye, a great sword, the great smith would suddenly take it as unlucky, inauspicious material. If, having once trespassed on the human form, I were to say, only a human, only make me a human, then the maker of changes would certainly take me as an inauspicious person. If you take heaven and earth as a great furnace, and the maker of changes as a great smith, then where can you go that will not be all right? I will doze off whole and drowsily wake up. Here it seems to be actually something stuck in that has very little relation to the rest of the passage. We say I, but I like it because it goes back to this language thing. We say I, but how do I know what I mean by I? You dream you're a bird crossing heaven or a fish sunk in the depths. There's no telling if the one who speaks now is awake or dreaming. Directing the trip, controlling it, doesn't measure up to smiling. And laughing doesn't measure up to stepping aside. Step aside and leave the changes. Then you will enter the oneness of the vacant sky. Some gorgeous stuff. And it's funny as hell. That's Zhuangzi. Welcome to Zhuangzi. You just got to wonder what he was tripping on, right? B, Zhuangzi on his wife's death. One of my favorites. His wife dies. How's he going to react? When Zhuangzi's wife died, Huizi came to mourn her. At that moment, he sees Zhuangzi squatting down, beating a tub, singing. Like a fool. Huizi said, you lived with this person, you raised children, you grew old together. Not to cry when she died, that'd be bad enough. But to beat on a tub singing? Isn't that too much? Zhuangzi said, no. When she first died, don't you think I was like everyone else? But then I considered her beginning, before she was alive. Paradox, paradox, paradox. Not only before she had life, but before she had form. Not only before she had form, but before she had chi. In all the mixed up bustle and confusion, something changed, and there was chi. The chi changed, and there was form. The form changed, and she had life. Today there was another change, and she died, and she died. It's just like the round of the 4 seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter. She was resting quietly, perfectly at home, and I followed her crying, wah, wah. It seemed like I had not comprehended fate. So I stopped crying. A scene from Lao Tzu's funeral. Again, compare the running from heaven to the Christian going to heaven. And again, are there any claims of an afterlife here? When Lao Tzu died, Shin Shi went to mourn him. He cried 3 times, and he left. A student asked, which is a weird thing to do. I don't know if that meant he yelled something 3 times, ba, 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 and then he left, or what. But it was a strange thing to do. So a student asked, weren't you our teacher's friend? And Shin Shi said, yeah. Then is it okay for you to mourn him this way? And Shin Shi said, yeah, at first I thought these were his people, but now I see they're not. When I went in earlier, there were old people crying as though for a child who had died, and young ones as though for their mothers. Lao Tzu, who gathered them here after all, did not want them to talk, but they talk. He did not want them to cry, but they cry. They've run from heaven. They have run from heaven. They have denied their essence. They have forgotten what they received, and therefore suffer what used to be called the punishment of running from heaven. Our teacher, Lao Tzu, came because it was time, and left when it had passed. If you're content with the time and abide by the passing, there's no room for sorrow or joy. This is what they used to call the divine release. You can point to the exhausted fuel. The fire's out. You can point to the ashes there. But the flame has passed on, and no one knows where it will end. Again, the questions here, and this will matter, the questions here. Are they arguing for an afterlife or not? It's ambiguous. There's no right answer. There's only claims. 2 more. We're on page 3 of the packet. Zhuangzi on Splay-limb. Splay-limb means deformed. You know when you're like splayed out on the floor, you're just like laying there all splayed out. People with bad posture like sit in their chairs and they're just all splayed out. It's deformed. So Splay-limb Shu. Splay-limb Shu's chin is sunk in his belly. His shoulders are above his head, pinched together so they point at the sky. We've seen this image before, right? Master Chariot or Master Arrive, whoever it was. His 5 organs are on top. Picture your heart, lungs, and stomach being on top of your head. Those of you who are bored right now, I just pity you, because this is the coolest stuff in the world. Those of you with brains, continue enjoying. His shoulders are above his head, pinched together so they point at the sky. His 5 organs are on top. His thighs are tied against his ribs. With odd jobs sewing and taking in laundry, he makes enough to fill his mouth, this deformed little freak. Scavenging leftover grain, he gets enough to feed 10 people. When the people in charge are calling out troops, Splay-limb wanders among them, waving goodbye. Bye-bye, bye-bye, because I'm certainly not fit to serve in the army, right? I'm deformed. When they're assembling workers for forced labor on dams and walls, he's exempted as a chronic invalid. When they dole out grain to the sick, he gets 3 measures of grain and 10 bundles of firewood. With deformed limbs, he's still able to keep himself alive and to live out the years Tien gave him. Is it possible he has deformed virtue? This is kind of a jab at Confucianism and all sorts of things, where you're supposed to be this gracious ritual character, and here he's like going, look at this deformed guy. Doesn't he have his own form of virtue here? And finally, my favorite ever. Are you leaving? Okay, bye. When you guys are seniors and you're all freaking out because you didn't get accepted to Harvard and so life is ending, the most stupid crap I see year after year, you idiotic brainwashed thing like going, oh, I didn't get into Harvard, life is over. I always put this on Facebook. And it's funner to just say than to read because this particular translation is kind of boring. There's an old man, old farmer. Don't even read it, it's boring reading. There's an old man, an old farmer. He's got 1 son and 1 horse and to help him plow his field, right? And it's a small field. He's a poor old man, very old. He needs that son, he needs that horse. Well, one day the horse wakes up, the horse is gone. The horse has jumped over the corral fence and it's gone. And his neighbor comes over and is like, oh man, you've lost your horse. Enjoy your pee, Danny. Oh man, you've lost your horse. God, what horrible luck, old man. How are you going to, farm? And the old man's like, horrible luck? Good luck, bad luck, who knows? And the neighbor's like, oh, what an effing idiot this old man is. He doesn't know that losing his only horse is bad luck, and he walks away scratching his head. Weird old man. Next day, the old man wakes up. He looks out his window into the corral. What does he see? His horse has returned with 50 wild horses that followed it back. They made friends. And so now he's got 50 wild horses plus his original horse in his corral. Good God in heaven. His neighbor comes up, oh man, you were right, it was good luck, it was good luck. Look at you, you got 50 horses. That's like 50 Mercedes in ancient China, right? You can train them, you can break them, you can tame them, you can sell them. Good God in heaven, that was the most perfect luck you could ever have had. The old man's like, of course, good luck, bad luck, who knows? And the neighbor walks away going, what a weird old man, this Daoist. Day 3. Son, only son, is breaking these 50 horses, taming them, throw a rope around them and ride them, and they buck and they bronk and all that sort of thing until you have mastered them, except it masters him. It throws him. He breaks his leg in 6 places. He will never walk again. He's lame. Holy Mother of God. He's the old man's support farming. He's able-bodied and young. Now the old man doesn't have his son to help him farm. Oh, God, old man, you've lost your son. He's lame for, oh, God, it's horrible luck. Good luck. Bad luck. Who knows? Neighbor goes away scratching his head. Next day, in comes a warring state army with a general conscripting every single able-bodied man in the village to join the army and go to the next warring state and conquer them, except he loses, and every single person that was in the village forced into the army with this warring state's general is killed to a man. They are all slaughtered in a massacre, except for the lame, crippled son, whose leg is broken in 6 places and he can't go. Neighbor comes back. Oh, man, God, you're right. It was such good luck. The story never ends. The old man says, good luck, bad luck, who knows? The story never ends. Because good luck, bad luck, who knows? I'll tell you, I had and this is a story I normally open the Daoism section with, and it's true. When I was 26 years old, I had the strongest intuition in the world that I was going to die at 52. It hit me so strongly. You ever had that sort of thing? Just a premonition? You're like, God, why am I having this strong premonition? Just this, here I am just sitting around picking my nose, and then suddenly this feeling comes to me. You are going to die at 52. And I'm 26 years old. I'm in college. I loved college. I stayed until I was 35. I did. I stayed in college until I was 35. I loved it. They made me leave. I was like, really? Anyway, so here I am now. There's a strong intuition. I'm not superstitious. But it was so strong that I remember it to this day, and so now it's kind of weird because I turned 50 in May, and I'll be 51 this May, right? That means that by May, 2 Mays from now, when I'll be still 52, so by my 53rd May, if that intuition is right, I'm dead. And it's so weird, because I don't really believe it, but at the same time it was so strong that I'm like, Jesus, what if it was right? What if I'm wrong, right? And the cool thing about it is, Daoism makes dying, if you're not seeing it, it makes it just so much easier to handle, right? You're just like, okay, well, death isn't that bad. So anyway, why do I tell you this? Because if I die while you're here, you'll still be here, right? And that'll be so cool. You can go, wow, Mr. Brown told us he was going to die and he's dead, right? It'll be like the talk of the cafeteria. You'll be all like, I was in that class. God, he's dead. All right? And then I want you to say, don't freak out, don't get all weepy and don't be afraid of the change. That's what I want you to say. Stop. Don't be afraid of the change, because there's going to be the other people that do the predictable stuff. Oh, make a big dead teacher thing, put flowers in front of it, blah, blah, blah. Have a party for me, watch like, oh, by the way, I'm going to show a movie, a famous Coen Brothers movie called The Big Lebowski. Does anybody know it?
You told us last
Okay, I told you last time. The dude abides. All right, he's a bowling freak. It's the funniest movie in the world. He's a pothead and a bowling freak. And he gets caught up in this big adventure because somebody steals his carpet. And the carpet tied together the whole room, so he gets really angry. He hangs out with John Goodman, a Vietnam vet who is like crazy, and they're fighting German nihilists. It's the funniest movie in the world, and I'm showing it Friday after school. It totally hits Daoism.
Tomorrow?